What's up guys, it's Roger and welcome back to the channel. And today we're using our Blink Hunter a little bit more in the competitive playlist in our Blink to Ascendant series. You can check out the build here today. We're going to be using the Vigilance Wing. I have out Without Remorse here, one of my favorite lightweight frame shotguns. If you do want to go for a god roll on this thing, I recommend you use Hipfire Grip and Fragile Focus here, both of them enhanced. We can go over those a little more as we get into the gameplay, but basically Fragile Focus gives plus 20 to our range if we haven't taken damage, so obviously 92 range is pretty nice, especially since these lightweights can lack in range quite a bit. You can go ahead and check out the mods here, usually just the regular stuff for targeting, unflinching, stuff like that, some weapon surge stuff, some scavenger for our shotgun, and then Reaper so I can kill somebody after I use my dodge, and make an orb and time dilation so it lasts a little bit longer there. I'm going to go ahead and show you the Arc 3.0 and then we'll get into the gameplay. So here, everything is pretty similar to what I usually use. We have on Lethal Current to go with our flow state right here. I have on Arc Bolt Nades, Combination Blow, Blink here, of course, and Gambler's Dodge with an Arc Staff. Now, we have a few new fragments down here. Of course, I usually use Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target creates an Ionic Trace. Very nice to get your abilities back as often as possible. I literally only have this on for the plus 10 recovery because obviously we can't use finishers in PvP, but honestly, Bungie is so bad at balancing their game that I would believe they would make that actually go into the live client sometime soon. Now, we do have two new fragments here. So we have Spark of Instinct. While critically wounded, taking damage emits a burst of damaging arc energy that jolts targets. This does not do very much damage. It's honestly like 10 to 15 damage. It does not do much damage at all, but what it does do is actually jolt your targets, so you can take them out and get amplified afterwards. And of course, if you take them out while they're jolted, you get a little Ionic Trace, so there's a little combo right there. And then we do have on Spark of Haste, our other new fragment right here, that says you have greatly increased resilience, recovery, and mobility while sprinting. So of course, it's just nice. We can start running, and this I think pops up all three of those stats by plus 30. So that is the entire build. If you have any questions, go ahead, leave those in the comments or join the Blinkville Discord server, which I'll have linked in the top right and in the description. I started getting gameplay for this about 2 weeks ago, and then Iron Banner started, and I've been really busy this week, and I just didn't get to get all the gameplay I wanted in that first session. So the first like 10 clips you're going to see are from a session a few days ago, and then the last few clips are from today, and I was going to get some more, so it might be a little bit of a shorter video, but I just wanted to like get done with this video before I like went and changed loadouts and did something else with my Blink Hunter here. So hopefully you guys still enjoy, even if it is a little bit of a shorter video. That being said, I'll have a lot more comp videos coming out to you soon with my Blink Hunter and my Blink Warlock. If you have any build requests, go ahead, leave those in the comments, or like I said in the Blinkville Discord server, I'd be happy to look into using them, and I'll have a bunch of trials videos coming out to you this weekend. All that being said, I think we're ready to get in this gameplay. Before we do that, let's go ahead and roll that intro. So like I said, it had been a minute since I actually got all these clips, so watching them back was kind of like a refresher of how I had been playing about a week and a half ago. And honestly, you know, picking the build up after about a week and a half had gone by was pretty nice. And here's the thing, these first clips I got here, and honestly the clips that I got tonight, the game felt not laggy, which is very nice, and why I originally used to love something like the Vigilance Wing, because you can 2-burst so beautifully with it right here, right? You can just knock somebody's cranium into the next life. But when there's a lot of lag in the game, like there has been for many seasons now, it doesn't feel that good. So that's why I was really enjoying myself, honestly, in these matches where there was just not that much lag. Shots felt very responsive, very crisp. If I shot someone in the bussy cheeks, they were getting hit in the bussy cheeks. So that always feels absolutely amazing. And the game is just not like that often anymore, you know? Ever since, what was like, it's either been like 4 or 5 seasons at this point, where the Crucible has just become a laggy mess. Sometimes it's a little worse than others, but even since the beginning of, Lightfall's release, it's been pretty darn bad again, and Iron Banner has been very laggy. Trials has honestly not been as bad, and Comp isn't always as bad, and I think that's just because there's less people in there. You know, they only have to have 6 people with relatively fine connections to each other, and that helps a lot, but man, it can be an absolute pain. Now you can see I map that guy with a shotgun shot. The next guy comes in here, I shoot him in the bushy, and then he blows himself up like some kind of weird little freak. I take up the Spark here. This is one of my favorite paths to take when you are delivering the Spark in and you have Blink on. Go around here, you're going to have plenty of cover as you go through that side section, so they can't really shoot you for much time. If your teammates are covering, it's even better, but all you got to do is fly through that side section like I did right there, come out that last or the first door even works, and then you can blink straight into the rift very effectively. Now you can see there, and a lot of times throughout this video with this shotgun, it maps so beautifully with your hipfire shots. I have a freehand grip mod on this, I believe it's called. I definitely recommend you to use that mod if you're going to use a shotgun that you do intend to do a lot of hip firing with. that mod is going to help you with those hipfire shots, make them more accurate. And of course, when we have our hipfire grip mod on this gun, it's going to make it super reliable, and that's what I absolutely love about it. You can see here, before I went into this engagement, I did use a dodge just so I could have my lethal current before I went and engaged with that guy. You can see after I killed him too, since I used my dodge before I killed him, I actually spawned an orb of power there, so a real nice combo right there. But just remember, if you're using your lethal current, your main combo that you're going to do when you do get aggressive with your shotgun is going to be dodge. So you have lethal current. You can see there your lethal current lasts about 9-10 seconds. So that gives you plenty of time to actually get aggressive on your enemies and take them out. Right there, some nice play shots from our Vigilance Wing's going to let us take out 2 guys. I wanted to engage this last guy. A nice 2 burst there finishes him off. I pick up the sword ammo for the rest of the engagement for this round. And you can see this match was not going too well. Me and my teammates, we were down 0-2. If they got one more round, they were going to win the entire match. But we didn't want to settle for that. And you can see here, I had a beautiful play. I go in, sword slash that guy, and he actually just popped his super right there. And then we went to the next round here, and I can tell you, I got that super out of him. He popped it completely. He didn't even get to use any of it at all, but he lost the super because he did pop it in a bad position like that, and I was able to split his asshole open like I was making a nice PB&J. I go aggressively onto this guy. Unfortunately, he gets around the wall, so I use my dodge to take my enemy's radars away with my Gemini Jesters. I didn't touch on my Gemini Jesters too much in the intro, but that's just because I've made builds with them before, and they're one of my favorite go-to Blink exotics for Hunter. People ask me a lot, what exotics do you like for Blink Hunter? I recommend you always use either your Gemini Jesters or your Foe Tracers. Those are my go-tos if I'm going to be tryharding with certain builds. If it's going to be a very aggressive build like this one, then I prefer to go for the Gemini Jesters right here because they can take away your enemy's radar and you can much easier aggress on them. This is honestly a reason why, even though we can actually get Arc Staff a little more reliably now that we can get so many orbs dropping in the Crucible, I still think I'm going to go back to Gathering Storm. Gathering Storm is absolutely lackluster, It's such a sad super, but the state of supers on Arc Hunter right now is pitiful. I understand why people think, obviously, I'm going to show you at the top of the screen right now. We actually made a beautiful comeback on this match. GG to my teammates right here, because dude, we just smacked these guys up. We summoned the Eye of the Tiger, opened the third eye, Vishnu was calling our names, and we absolutely went in there, tore their bushies just under, and brought that match back. You gotta love it. You can see I'm climbing up from plat 2 there, going towards plat 1, and we made a lot of division points right there, which means that me and my teammates were not supposed to beat those guys, but we absolutely just pulled it together and did, and that's why we got so many division points. Anyhow, as I was saying before, with the Gathering Storm super, it's very lackluster, and I think Arc Staff is as well. I understand why people think Arc Staff is so strong because of the reflection ability. Yeah, when you can reflect somebody's Nova Bomb straight back into their hands and make them look like a piece of fried chicken that KFC Colonel just dropped off, that's amazing. I'm not going to deny that. And I like myself some nice KFC chicken, but that's not exactly what you get to do on a daily basis with that thing. You can't always just pop your Arc Staff in response to somebody else's super, You can't just hope that they pop it at you, because unless the enemy has 2 brain cells and a fart cloud floating around inside of their head, then they're not just going to throw that Nova Bomb into you while you're blocking with an Arc Staff. So it's not even reliable like that. You can see I'm taking away my enemy's radars there before I go in with my shotgun. That also gives me lethal current, so I was able to smack that first guy. Could have kept going, but unfortunately they did do pretty well to team me right there and take me out. But anyways, as I am saying, that is why I don't think Arc Staff is that good. Because if you're actually playing against competent players, what they do is they literally just run away. And even with Blink, it doesn't help you chase down those enemies enough to usually get on top of them before you run out of energy and don't get a singular kill with it. Sure, you can shut somebody down out of a bubble if you do a 1-1 or a light-heavy combo, right? That's great. You can reflect stuff, and that can be very nice. Nice little sword play for you here. Love to use the sword for that movement sometimes if it doesn't lock on. Missed my first shotgun shot, but picked it up there and smacked him with the second one. Had to show you that little crispy play. But as I'm saying here, these are the reasons why I don't think Arc Staff is that good. I think it's a little overrated, and I'm not stupid. I played a lot of this game. I know why the reflection is so strong, but let's be honest, that is the strongest part, and basically the only good part about the Arc Staff. When it comes to its actual combos, especially in mashes, like we've been getting all season and past couple seasons, where they are so laggy, hits of the Arc Staff don't even hit. If you are a even halfway competent player, all you have to do to counter an Arc Staff is run away or go in the air, because as soon as you're in the air, I can't hit you. You're literally just floating above me like a fucking helium balloon that some 4-year-old at a goddamn birthday party dropped out of his hands, and it just floats away, and there you go. Sorry, helium bloom Andy, I can't hit you anymore. Good for you, man. And now my super just became worthless. If you just run away like you're Forrest Gump at the end of the fucking movie, going across the goddamn country, spoiler alert, sorry if you didn't see Forrest Gump yet, but honestly, you should probably get on that because it's pretty old, and it's kind of on you. I'm not even going to apologize, to be honest. That's not the point right now. The point is, if you're just running away from the Arc Staff, that's as easy as it is to counter it, and that is just so sad to me, and that is what needs to be addressed with Arc Staff. And then the next part of Arc Staff with Blink is you can't block while you're blinking. You know why Nova Warp works so well with Blink? Because you can combo your dark blinks, you know, your little shifts, however you want to call them while you're inside of your Nova Warp, with your regular blink, and actually use that movement to propel yourself across the entire map. You don't need a block while you're under your Nova Warp, because you can shift through with those blinks, comboing into each other to get all the way across the map and on top of your enemies so well that you can take them out without too much risk to you. Now you can get smacked while you're in a Nova Warp, but at least you can actually get kills with it, and it combos with your blink well. What Bungie did is they took Arc Staff as it was, didn't re-engineer it in the slightest, and then put Blink on top of Arc Hunters, and didn't even care how it actually worked with our blinks. And the fact of the matter is, it works terribly. You cannot use your block in conjunction with your blink in the slightest, and to me, that's absolutely pitiful. I don't know why they think they can just put this stuff into the game without a second thought to how the actual kit interacts with each other. But I do understand why they do it. It's because they don't think about Blink. It's a secondary mechanic in this game, and they don't even acknowledge it half the time. A lot of things people have been saying to me lately are about these leaks that have come out of how they're planning on tuning a lot of exotics and weapons inside of the game, and one of those is going to be a buff to the Astrocyte Verse. Now, I haven't addressed this in any videos so far, because personally, I only believe things once I see it straight from the horse's mouth. Screw this little guy right here, you know, he started a bag, so me and my teammates absolutely put our fucking brass balls on our bodies, and we smacked it for the rest of the match, so I'm gonna let that play out for you as I keep ranting here. So here's the thing with the Astrocyte Verse buffs, right? I need to see Bungie actually say it before I truly believe it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, if they're data mining or whatever, like, cool, that can be as realistic as possible. That's awesome. I don't even know what the heck data mining is, to be honest with you. I mean, it's straightforward. They mine some data, right? They go in, they see, oh, here's what this is. And, oh, look, we found this. It makes sense to me, but like, I'm not going to pretend like I know how all this freaking stuff works. I'm not that freaking guy. I'm not some little coder shit in there like, hacker voice we're in. I can't do that, baby boy. But what I can tell you is, I believe it when I finally see it in a TWAB, and it pops up and it says, hey, we're going to add this buff to Astrocyte Verse, where you can blink and now it's going to interact with the suppression. That's awesome. If I see that, then I will really go into my details about how I feel about that. But we got to look at how much they've looked at Blink in the past few years. The past few years, here's how much they've looked at Blink. 1, they gave it to Hunters, and that is the only reason, we all know, that is the only reason they decided to buff Blink is because they gave it to Hunters. As soon as they gave it to Hunters and they buffed it, they have not given it a single bat of an eye since. And now that they're actually going to look at Astrocyte Verse, that would be absolutely amazing. So after that, let's see if we actually get it. But what would that nerf, or that buff, excuse me, I'm so used to getting nerfs on my things that I like at this point. What would that buff actually be? So apparently it's going to interact where you can leave a trail of suppression behind. That's kind of what people are thinking. That's kind of what it's supposed to say, right? But to me, that would be worthless. If you leave the suppression cloud from where you blinked from, that's worthless. Because if you're blinking away from somebody, your hitbox already stayed where you blinked from, you're gonna die anyways. So if the suppression works any single way, except for this right here, this is how the suppression would need to work for it to be any kind of usefulness. It would need to leave a field where you exit your blink from. If that's how the suppression field worked on the exit of a blink, then that could be quite effective and something that I would actually like to see on my Astrocyte Verse. Now, let's look at the flip side of that, which is even if we get all this, that's awesome, but we still don't have an Astrocyte Verse variant for Hunters. I know I've talked about this a little bit lately, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because it just blows my mind that we actually don't have that still in the game, because they could easily just go ahead, like we said before, they could take the Blight Ranger exotic and they could make that into an Astrocyte Verse variant for Hunter because that exotic is so worthless right now, or they could make a whole new exotic, but I feel like at this point, you know, they're only going to look at Blink every few months or so, if we're even that lucky. And this is just another one of those times where even if it's real, you know, there's our Astrocyte Verse, you know, quote unquote buff, even though Astrocyte Verse is already really good and we don't even need it to be buffed. In my opinion, like, it's already an amazing exotic. It doesn't even need the suppression on it. That's just like a gimmick in my opinion. Because if you can't already function well enough with your Astrocyte Verse Blink, then the suppression really isn't going to change that much of for you as a player. I'm sorry to tell you that, but like, that's just the fact of the matter. If you're already struggling to use Astrocyte Verse Blink, which is like basically putting training wheels on your Blink, then having a suppression effect is really not going to change too much for you, you know? So that's just the fact of the matter there, which is fine. You know, Blink is a very hard skill to use, and it should be, you know, because when you actually learn how to use it, it's extremely beneficial, and you can become a top tier player and juke your enemies out and have this absolute element of surprise that no other playstyle in the game can really give to you. And when you can flourish with that, people are going to notice that and be quite impressed. Now, all this is to say that Blink just needs some actual love. I mean, we can all go back to even getting Strand and there's just no blink on it. You know, I made a whole video about that. If you didn't, I'll go ahead and I'll link that on the end screen for you guys. Because there are some ways in the game that you can actually use blink with Strand, but it's not actually on the subclass, and it was such a missed, a missed opportunity, because Strand and blink work beautifully together. It's like, chocolate and peanut butter. Somebody took this freaking Reese's cup, put it together, and it's absolutely amazing. It's like tuna fish and butter. That's my favorite combination. What? Okay, my agent's telling me that that's not a real combination. I also don't have an agent. Anyways, the point is, this game is just ridiculous sometimes, and Bungie just really hates blink players. They didn't really intend to get off on this tangent, but sometimes when I'm going back and looking at content that I just want to bring things up to you guys, because as well as the fact that I want to bring it up to you, I want your opinions as well. How do you guys feel about all this? What do you want to see out of Astrocyte First? Do you honestly think that it needs a buff? Because in my opinion, it really doesn't, but I'm not going to be mad about getting one. It's fine if we do, but it's not needed in the slightest. How do you guys feel about an Astrocyte variant for Blink Hunters, and what ideas would you have for it being in existence? Would you want to take something like Blight Ranger and make that into the Astrocyte variant, or do you want to see a completely new exotic that is essentially just Astrocyte but for hunters? That's what I want to see. And if they're going to make it the suppression effect on Astrocyte for warlocks, I want to see that kind of a variant on hunters. I want to be able to come out of my blink as a hunter and it does a little jolt of effect to my enemies around me. Could you imagine that? You blink out of somebody, like this clip right here, I blinked on top of that guy, and it jolts him because of the Astrocyte First variant that I have for my hunter, and now he's jolted, I take him out, and instantly I'm amplified. How cool would that be? Either way, this is the last clip I have for you guys. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I very much appreciate you watching. If you do want to leave me a like or subscribe, I would very much appreciate that, and I will have so much content coming out for you guys in the next few days, especially some Trials content. That is it for me today, though, so I hope you guys did enjoy, and as always, have a great day, Guardians.